Welcome everyone to this explainer. Have you ever just looked at a simple wall outlet and wondered exactly how that invisible power actually gets there? It honestly feels a bit like magic sometimes, right?
Ever
But the
wondered
truth
how
is,
electricity powers your
follows this
home? It
incredibly
flows from the
organized,
utility line
highly
through the
engineered
energy
path
meter,
all the way
MCB, then
from
safely
massive
reaches
power
your
stations
lights, sockets, and
directly to
appliances,
every single
bringing
appliance
every
in your
room to
home.
life.
And understanding this entire system, this whole journey, is not just fascinating, it's absolutely key to your safety and to troubleshooting common electrical problems in your day-to-day life. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're tracking an electron's ultimate commute. We'll start with the journey to your home, take a look inside the electrical panel, explore wires, flow, and circuits, break down what happens when flipping the switch, and finish up with essential electrical safety. Let's get moving with Section 1, the journey to your home. So this whole commute happens in 5 major steps. It all kicks off at a power plant, and this could be thermal, hydroelectric, nuclear, solar, or even a wind farm. Here, the generator produces what we call alternating current, or AC. This is typically generated between 11 and 25 kilovolts. Now, depending on where you're tuning in from, this eventually gets standardized for your home. For example, regions like Europe, India, and Bangladesh operate on a 230-volt 50 Hz standard, whereas the USA uses a 120-volt 60 Hz standard. But, well, before it gets to your front door, it has a really long way to travel. To truly grasp the sheer scale of this next step, high-voltage transmission, consider this. To move power across vast distances, transformers at the power plant step the generated voltage way up. We're talking 132 kilovolts, 400 kilovolts, or even a staggering 765,000 volts. No way, right? But why go that high? Well, because pushing the voltage up that much significantly lowers the current. And lower current means you drastically reduce the amount of power loss as heat as it travels over hundreds of miles of transmission lines. Of course, we obviously cannot bring 765,000 volts straight into a residential neighborhood, so the power enters grid substations. These use massive circuit breakers and switching equipment to step the voltage down sequentially like a giant staircase. It drops from 230 kilovolts down to 132, then 33, and finally 11 kilovolts. From there, a local distribution transformer, the ones usually sitting on a pole or a concrete pad near your street, drops that 11,000 volts down to a usable level. For larger homes using a 3-phase setup, it drops to 415 volts. For your standard single-phase home, which just takes one phase and a neutral via the service line, it drops to a safe 230 volts. All right, now that the power is at your house, let's move to Section 2, inside the electrical panel. The very first stop inside your property is the energy meter. Think of this as the toll booth for your electricity. It precisely measures your electrical energy usage in kilowatt hours. The math here is actually super simple, but it's really important. If you run a 1 kilowatt appliance for exactly 1 hour, you've used 1 kilowatt hour. And that translates directly into the unit you see recorded on your monthly electricity bill. Simple as that. Immediately after the meter, the power flows into the main switch, or the main miniature circuit breaker, often just called the MCB. Usually rated at 40, 63, or 100 amps. This acts as the master valve. It can isolate your entire house with just one click, and it totally protects against massive overloads or short circuits. From there, power enters the distribution board, or DB. The DB smartly divides the power into separate zones, one for lighting, one for the kitchen, one for the AC. Because each zone gets its very own individual MCB, if, say, your toaster causes a short circuit in the kitchen, only the kitchen loses power. The rest of your house stays perfectly lit. But here's the thing. The absolute most crucial, life-saving component in that box is the RCCB, or residual current circuit breaker. Let's look at a quick what-if scenario. Imagine a damaged washing machine where an internal live wire accidentally touches the metal body. Without an RCCB, touching that machine means a lethal electric shock. But an RCCB continuously compares the current flowing out to the machine against the current returning from it. If it detects even a tiny 30 milliamp difference, which basically means current is leaking somewhere it shouldn't be, it cuts the power instantly. It is quite literally designed to save your life. Let's dig a bit deeper into the walls now with Section 3, wires, flow, and circuits. If you were to strip back a standard modern electrical cable, you'd clearly see 3 distinct physical wires. First up is the phase, also known as the live wire. This is the one actually carrying the electrical power at around 230 volts. Second is the neutral wire. This operates at near 0 volts and provides the essential return path, carrying the current all the way back to the street transformer to complete the loop. Finally, we have the earth or ground wire. This is your dedicated safety conductor. Under normal, everyday conditions, it carries absolutely no current. It only springs into action during a fault, giving dangerous, rogue electricity a safe path away from you. Just as a quick refresher on Ohm's law, remember that this entire grid operates strictly on closed loops. Electricity has to flow from the transformer, through the phase wire, into your appliance, and then back down the neutral wire to the transformer. If that loop is broken in any way, if the circuit is open, current simply cannot flow. It's a fundamental engineering constraint that dictates the sizing and function of your entire home infrastructure. Think of it like water in a pipe, right? If a valve is completely shut, the pressure is there, waiting, but absolutely nothing moves. Let's anchor this with some hard numbers using Ohm's law. If you have 12 volts of electrical pressure pushing through a wire or an appliance that has 6 ohms of resistance, you're going to get exactly 2 amps of current flowing through that closed loop. Every single circuit in your home is governed by this elegant mathematical relationship. So what does this look like in practice? Let's check out Section 4, Flipping the Switch. Let's look at what happens in ultra-slow motion when you do something as completely ordinary as turning on a ceiling light. First off, the power is waiting at the switch because your distribution board MCB is on. The exact moment you flip that switch, you are physically bridging a gap. You're closing the circuit. Instantly, current from the phase wire rushes through the switch and into your LED lamp. The bulb does its job, converting that electrical energy into light and a little bit of heat. And then the current peacefully exits the bulb and travels all the way back down the neutral wire. But keep in mind, not all switches and circuits are created equal. Different appliances require drastically different infrastructure behind the drywall. A simple lighting circuit only needs relatively thin, 1.5 square millimeter copper wire, and a small 6 or 10 amp MCB. But your wall sockets, the ones that might run a fridge or a microwave, well, they need thicker 2.5 square millimeter wire and a 16 or 20 amp MCB. And for the real heavy lifters, like your air conditioners, water heaters, or induction cookers, you need dedicated high-power circuits. That means even thicker cables and robust, highly rated MCBs to handle that heavy current safely without overheating. Which brings us perfectly to our final part, Section 5, Essential Electrical Safety. Now, I mentioned the earth wire earlier, but the entire earthing or grounding system is really your home's silent bodyguard. It uses an earth wire connected directly to an earth electrode. This is usually a long metal rod driven deep into an earth pit right in the dirt outside your house. If a wire comes loose and energizes the metal case of your oven, this system provides a safe, low-resistance, direct path for that dangerous fault current to go straight into the actual ground, rather than through you. Plus, this system is exactly what allows that life-saving RCCB we talked about to operate perfectly. Furthermore, devices like surge protection devices, or SPDs, can be integrated right here to shield your sensitive electronics from sudden, unexpected spikes in grid voltage. Because we are dealing with such immense power here, keeping a few best practices in mind is just absolutely critical. First, water and electricity. Total no-go. Never touch electrical equipment with wet hands. Also, please do not plug a power strip into another power strip just to get more outlets. That overloads sockets and is a huge fire risk. If a wire or plug is frayed, replace it immediately. Don't just wrap some tape around it and hope for the best. Always make sure your metal-bodied appliances are properly earthed. If you ever need to do minor electrical work, completely turn off the main MCB to the whole house first. And, as we just learned with the different circuits, always use correctly rated cables and MCBs for the job. Your home's electrical system, from the massive power plant all the way to your living room, works tirelessly to keep you powered and safe. It's an incredible piece of engineering. But I want to leave you with a critical question today. When was the last time you actually went to your panel and pressed the test button on your RCCB to verify that your life-saving earth leakage protection is fully functional? Seriously, go give it a check. Respect the incredible engineering hidden in your walls and stay safe. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.